Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pitts. The Ukraine war, I guess, extra, concerning Valery Gerasimov, the chief of or the commander-in-chief of the Russian armed forces, basically in charge of prosecuting the war in Ukraine. I did a video recently where I said he is almost certainly dead, and I'm very careful with my language, by the way, so especially when I'm trying to make a claim about something that I don't know for sure. It's all about probabilities. In fact, every claim in the world is about probabilities outside of cogito ergo sum. I've explained this before on certain threads and whatnot and on my philosophical videos. But outside of I exist or I am, cogito I think, therefore I am, cogito ergo sum, or, you know, I think something that is me, that is I, experiences, and therefore something that is this exists, right? That's all we can say for certainty. Everything else in reality is a probability assessment. Just everything. We could all be living in a matrix, we won't know it, so therefore there's a non-zero chance that all of this is fake and it's just being put into my brain as I sit in a machine, right? Descartes' evil demon, from which cogito ergo sum comes. So in order to doubt that this all exists, like, I have to exist to do the doubting, or this thing that is me. And so, okay, I'm telling you that because what I'm doing is a change of my probability assessment. Now, if you watched my previous video, which is titled "He's Almost Certainly Dead Asterix," and in the video I talk about he's either dead or injured or ill, but there's some reason he's not been around for 3 months when he's supposed to be leading the armed forces of Russia, and he was around, and it got up to this moment where there was a strike into Crimea, if I remember correctly, and right at that moment of the strike happening, they're like, oh, we think Gerasimov might have been in this, and then he disappeared. And he's popped up 3 months later, and he's popped up today, which is only a couple of days after I did that video. And this is what we see. And, you know, some people being, I don't know if they're being tongue-in-cheek or they actually, you know, men that look like Gerasimov and Shoigu cast their vote in the so-called presidential election. After months of not being in the public eye, Gerasimov appeared in Russian media voting at Putin's elections. He seems to watch Shoigu closely and repeats everything after him. So let's just watch this. I've been trying to work out if I mean, he does look like he shuffles all the points in this. Like his feet don't go particularly far in front of him, but that could be the way he walks. I don't know. It doesn't really tell us an awful lot about... I'm just trying to work out whether he's been ill or whether he's been injured from that strike. Just, it keeps cutting, and again, he's just following Shoigu. Shoigu, like, he doesn't even... It's quite interesting there that he doesn't go to the box himself. He waits for Shoigu. It's almost like he's Shoigu's little, you know, shadow here. And there you go. That's all we have. So it seems evident that he's alive. Now, what I claimed the other day is interestingly not wrong at all. Nothing I said the other day was wrong. So I just, like, someone in my thread was like, are you going to offer a retraction now? Other than, so the probability assessment was almost certainly dead, injured, or ill. But I put dead asterisk on the front there. Now, my justification for that remains entirely the same. So if I rewind back in time, I am justified in that claim. In the same way that, like, if my mate Bob has just come out of the pub after 3 pints of Guinness, right? And then Jimmy says to me and Harry, oh, Bob's gonna run 100 meters against Usain Bolt. He's gonna beat Usain Bolt. I'll be doing all my probability assessments of, like, I know what Bob's like, and he's had 3 pints of Guinness. And so I think in all probability he's going to lose to Usain Bolt. So I think he's going to lose. But Harry says, do you know what? I reckon he's going to win. Just because, I don't know, I like underdogs, and I just believe in like miracles once in a while, or whatever. And they have this race, and Bob wins. I'm like, holy crud, right? But Harry, although he believed that Bob was going to win, wasn't justified in that, because he's just like, oh, like he's got the correct assessment of the truth claim, but he's not justified in believing that because of the rationale he had for believing it. Oh, I believe in miracles and this and that. It turns out that Bob on the sly has been competing and training and blah 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 and whatever the reason. I mean, it's a made up situation, but you get the point. Is that you can believe the right thing but not be justified in believing that, and you can believe the wrong thing but be justified in believing the wrong thing. And so I believe that he was dead. That was wrong, but injured or ill are still out there. Like, something has to explain why the commander-in-chief of the Russian armed forces has disappeared for 3 months after a strike on a place where he was supposedly in that strike. So it's clear that he's not dead. Okay. But I was actually justified in thinking he probably was dead. I was justified in that. Now we've got new data, that changes the probability assessment. I wasn't wrong. I have a new probability assessment based on new data. This is how the scientific method works, right? You just, as more information comes online, you adapt your conclusions accordingly, and sometimes you completely change your conclusions in light of new data. Just, that's what's happened. So I've got new data. He's not dead, but I would now go to something needs to explain why he's not been around for 3 months. It could be other things. It could be that he's fallen out of favour with Putin or something or other. But it's more likely that he was involved in that strike, since that's what was originally claimed, and that he was injured or he had got some kind of illness. Maybe he's got cancer, I don't know. He's been ill for 3 weeks. But like, for someone who was on camera quite a bit, you saw him at different meetings. For when you had meetings where you would expect him to be there and he wasn't there, that flags up something going on. So he wasn't at certain things. So, for example, it was there was speeches that recent speech that Putin gave, where the whole of the government was there, apart from Gerasimov. It was like he was the only one that wasn't there, and like everyone else was there. So something needs to explain that. I go for the most probable explanation is something probably happened in that strike. My second explanation, he was just ill with some kind of bad illness that he's just getting over now. So he's either getting over an injury or an illness. Those are the two most probable explanations. And he's turned back up. Now, the Russian media were reporting the other day that he might be being replaced, due to being replaced like Sokolov just recently was. And Sokolov, I would say, is dead. Or at least is almost certainly dead. Let's be careful with the words here, right? So Sokolov is almost certainly dead because he, as the Admiral of the Black Sea Fleet, was supposedly in the place that was struck, the Black Sea Fleet headquarters in Sevastopol was struck. He supposedly died. We've got, now it's even longer than Gerasimov was missing. I don't know, is it 6 months now? Is it September he's been missing since? And then he's just been replaced. Well, he's been replaced by someone, now replaced by someone else. So he's just nowhere to be seen. So I think we're justified in thinking that he's most probably dead. And we were justified in thinking Gerasimov was dead, but now, or injured or ill. Now we take off the dead part, and he was probably injured or ill. But he's certainly around. Whether he's looking healthy, I don't know. I leave you to decide that. Anyway, this is my... I don't know, I might take down that Gerasimov video because it's no longer relevant, and I don't want to mislead people. Even though the rationale was correct, like the conclusion was wrong, or at least partly wrong. And so, yeah. That's all I have to say on that. So Gerasimov appears to be alive. Anyway, get on with my other videos if you don't mind.